and today I'm out hiking in the rain. And I wasn't planning on doing any video, mainly because I was so out of breath I couldn't even talk climbing that first little hill behind me. Now it doesn't look like much, but that first kilometer is a real steep one. Anyways, it flattens out up here a bit, so I thought I'd jump in. Maybe I'll put together a little video, talk about the knife, the axe, the saw, the things I'm carrying when I'm out here. Today I got my Benchmade Griptilian in S30V. Real nice knife to bring out on a trip like this. I touched it up on the strop before I came out, so it should shave some really nice feather sticks. I've got my Grand Force Brooks small forest axe, which will work good for splitting up some of the small pieces out here, because it's been raining for about a week now, and we are actually designated a rainforest here, so things are wet and getting a fire going can be a little tricky. The other thing I've got with me today is my Silky Big Boy saw. It's about 16 inches long. It's a folding saw, real high quality steel. I've got the large tooth design, so it works really good at bucking down logs and branches, anything under about 12 inches. Well, that's kind of a neat. Never been up this trail before, and it's old abandoned logging road. So it comes up, the reason I came up here today was I just downloaded a new app on my phone called Gaia GPS, and you can download the BC Backroads map book and other things here, so while you're out of cell service you can still use your phone as a GPS and your map to see where you're going. Now this is a short little hike. I'm getting a bit of rain inside now that I'm not hunched over walking up the hill. And hopefully my phone doesn't get too wet. It is the S10 Plus, so it's waterproof, but if the lens gets too wet you won't be able to see what I can see. Anyways, with Gaia GPS you can download all these different maps to your phone in different blocks and areas, so that you can tell where you're going just using your phone as a GPS and satellite. And about 2 or 3K up the road here, there's a nice little lake and a creek. Now, the current creek is way down the cliff over there. It's probably 300-400 feet down. And I can hear it roaring. Like I said, it's been raining quite a bit the last week or so. So there's a lot of water flowing through there. But I want to get up here now that it's a little flatter. I can actually cover some distance and talk to you guys and not be so out of breath. And there's supposed to be a nice little lake up here. I'm going to try to get up there. I'll set up a tarp when I do. I'll buck up a little bit of wood, see if I can't find something dry. Maybe some cedar, some birch bark curls. Get a fire going, and then I'll talk a little more about my knives. So I'll see you guys when I get there. This is one of the benefits of living out here. I don't know how well you can hear me over this water because it's roaring pretty good. But this is the reason I come out. I love this kind of stuff. You got a nice older growth forest here. You can see that big stump there. It has been logged in the past. But it's really open. Understory's open. Just big ferns, big trees. And every now and then you come across stuff like that. Now it goes way up there, kind of turns the corner into the trees. I'm heading that way, but I just had to stop and hang out here for a minute. Alright guys, so I think I'm just about where I was trying to go. Just thought I'd stop and show you guys some of the giant trees that used to grow around here. Now they've been logged out. This is back in the day when it was all by hand. You can see in there, that's one of the notches where they put a springboard in there, standing board, so that they could get up off the ground to saw that tree down. There's another one over there. That's probably 8 feet in diameter, maybe 10 right at the base. Anyways, the reason I'm back is because I'm just about at the lake now. Got a little creek here that's kind of dropped off, maybe 3 or 4 kilometers farther than I was last time I was talking to you guys. It's maybe, I don't know, 3 miles in. It did flatten up a bit up there, and I was able to put on some distance pretty quick. It's pretty thick in here, but I thought I'd bring you guys with me. Oh, cool. This is something you don't see every day. It's kind of hard to see here, but these logs all laying side by are an old, rotten out, but that's an old road. You can see if you follow the trees straight through, they're cleared. This would be an old logging road from, I don't know, 30, 50, 100, who knows how long. But this is how they used to make roads through here sometimes, rather than blasting all the rock. Because I don't know if you can see up behind me, it's a big mountain back there, and it's pretty much cliffs running straight up. So you never know what you're going to find in areas like this. Now, I don't know where the best way to go here is. It starts getting pretty thick right next to the lake. But I'm hoping I can find somewhere I can get out in the open, close enough to the water, give you guys a bit of a view, because this is really nice in here. Yeah, there we go. What do you think of that? Got some old dead trees in here. It actually opens up over there. It's pretty big. It's looking like I got an outflow, creek running out that way. I did cross a bit of a ridge, maybe half a mile back, and I think everything was running down into this lake before flowing out from here. Anyways, I thought I'd show you what it looks like when I get to explore. And now I think I'm going back that way. I'm going to try to find somewhere a little more open, a little more flat. I'm going to set up the tarp, get a fire going, and get dried up a little bit, because even though I got my Helly Hansen rubber suit on, I'm soaked. That is old bear poop. It's about the 5th pile I've passed in the last kilometer, so there's definitely a few around here. But the good news is, it's pretty old. I haven't seen anything fresh. Everything's been at least a couple weeks old. So, trail flattened out here. Didn't really find any good place near that lake to set up. It was so steep coming down into the water, and really, really thick near the edge. So, I looked at the map for a while, and that guy had GPS, and it showed that things flattened out. And about another 3-4 miles up the trail here, there's supposed to be a really big lake. So I thought I'd head up a little while. And I know my channel's blade protection, I'm supposed to be talking about knives, but it's such a nice day out, and I don't know where everybody who watches this might be from, but I'm sure a lot of you have not walked in a rainforest or in a west coast or wet coast forest like this. You can see everywhere I go, little creeks, rivers. Here, let me see back here. You can see a little ways. I don't know, you can't really see through the trees over there, but way down there somewhere is a big lake. And way down there, it's pretty steep going over the edges. So the reason these roads are out here, and this is a gated road way back where I parked, is these are old logging access roads. So they leave a lot of them, they don't reclaim them. They leave them open for the next time they come through to log. And you can see as I'm walking here, it's thick trees, and then right behind me, it's kind of cleared out a little bit. And it looks like maybe, I don't know, 5 to 8 years ago they came through and logged that. Trees are about 6 or 8 feet tall now. Another 20 years, 30 years, they'll come through and log it again. different areas you get here, it's mostly coniferous trees. So we got a lot of cedar, a lot of fir, Doug fir. There's a lot of spruce. There's the odd pine here and there. We'd have some alder, poplar, willow, birch, maple, all that type of hardwoods, a lot of them too. But most of them are down farther in the valley. When you get up high like this, most of it is needle-bearing trees. So a couple of things when I'm walking around out here, I'm always, especially since it's been raining for a week straight, is I'm always looking for fire starting material, because you never know when you're going to stop, or you know, I'm out here miles and miles away from anything. If something happened, maybe I twist my ankle or took a fall when I'm bushwhacking, you always want to make sure you're prepared. So I got a light pack on me. It's another nice little creek and waterfall passing the edge there, running up. Anyways, I got a little pack on me. It's maybe 10 pounds or so. In there I've got my saw, my axe, I got a wool blanket, I got my tarp, a bit of cordage, got a spare knife. Actually left a couple of knives in the truck. I recently got a Gerber flat iron. It's like the mini tomahawk, mini cleaver style blade. I was going to do a little talk about that, and I had my Spartaco military with me, but I decided to bring, since it was so warm and I tend to run hot, I decided to bring a lighter sweater underneath, which is in my pack as well, and realized the Gerber and the military were in the pockets of my other sweater, so I didn't bring them with me today. I do have a Gerber fixed blade on me, which I recently acquired. There, let me see if I can pull it out while I'm walking with my offhand. So it's nice rubberized handle, stainless steel, really good for wet weather like this. I didn't bring anything really nice with me today. Oh, whitetail. I don't know if you can see that way up there. And a couple of deer up there in the cup block, and I was talking so loud I didn't even see him until he threw his tail up and walked and ran away. Anyways, he's way up the cliff there, 200-300 yards. Oh, might be able to see him again. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, making sure you're prepared, because you never know when you're this far out. There's another little river there. You can see this is freshly logged, probably in the last 2 years by the looks of it. Anyways, I got a fresh pair of socks in there. I've got a life straw for water. I've got a power bar, and I got another granola bar in there, just a little snack. I'm not too worried about food when I'm coming out on a short trip like this. But what I am always aware of is that even though it's warm, and while I'm hiking like this, I'm really hot. I mean, I just have a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt on underneath my raincoat here. If I stop for some reason, say I was hurt or whatever, it will get really cold really quick because of how wet I am. Now with this Helly Hansen rain gear, it keeps the rain out, but it also traps all the sweat in. So I'm always got to be careful when I'm hiking a really steep hill or whatever. If I did have to stop and spend the night out here, now I've spent hundreds of nights in the bush by myself. I used to run a small mining company, and I'd be out for weeks and weeks on end. I'd just load up a pack and go with my pans and my dog and go out for a week prospecting the area. Now that I'm married, have a family, that doesn't happen as much anymore, but if you did have to spend the night out here, you can get really cold really quick. And hypothermia, even though it might only get down, you know, it definitely wouldn't be freezing up here tonight, but you probably get down pretty close, and this rain can get pretty cold. It's rained maybe 2 inches in the last 24 hours, so That's enough if you don't have a good shelter, if you don't have a good fire, you don't have good warm dry clothes. You're gonna get really cold really quick. And everybody thinks about hypothermia when it's snowing or when you're out in the frozen. However, hypothermia can set in at 5 degrees just about as easy, mainly because you're wet, and that thermal transfer of your wet skin to the air and to the cold rain hitting you if you don't have proper shelter can really suck the heat out of you and cool you off really fast. So I know this isn't really about knives. I don't know how many of you guys are even going to listen to this stuff, because it's just kind of me wandering and BSing off the cuff, shooting from the hip, if you will. But I watch some YouTube channels sometimes, guys like TA Outdoors over in the UK, and they get out there and a lot of times they don't even talk. They just show them, you know, cutting wood and building shelters and building fires and all kinds of stuff. This guy's like Dave Canterbury over there, who does his bushcraft kind of courses and teachings, has some really good information as well. But for people who, you know, maybe you live in the southern states, or maybe in the interior, for guys in Australia, my buddies out there in Australia, you don't have very much climate like this, and stuff like this is, you know, pretty unique to the west coast of Canada. The Pacific Northwest US, Oregon and Washington State have a climate very similar to us, and I thought some of you might enjoy just seeing what I see when I come out into a place like this. Anyways, I'm gonna put the phone away. I'm gonna turn the afterburners on and try and make some distance here, because even though it's real, the clouds kind of settling in low, it's getting kind of foggy. You can see in behind me there, visibility's not very good. I want to see if I can't get a view of this big lake up here. It's maybe only another couple miles, so put the phone away, I'll crank up some speed, and I'll get back to you when I get up there. Alright, I'm back. That wasn't as long as I thought it was. I stepped up the pace there quite a bit. And I'm just catching my breath, but I thought I would, oh, there we go. I thought I would slow down here a little bit, because I caught my first glimpse of this nice lake. And there just happens to be a cup lock here, so that I got a really nice view. Wow. I would love to get down there. And the rain mostly stopped. I'm going to keep you in suspense before I show you. The rain mostly stopped. Came through a really thick section of cloud there when I was running. I didn't really know if it would open up, but this is beautiful, so I won't wait any longer. Check this out. Now, is that something out of a picture or what? You got the high cloud up there on top of the mountain, a couple of low ones sitting there, and now this is just a little finger of the lake. It runs way up the valley there, disappears into the clouds. But I don't know, I'm not sure if I can get down near the edge. It looks pretty nice down there, but it's quite a ways down there, and this is super thick. So I'm gonna go up a little more. I don't know, it's getting a little late. I'm gonna lose my light here pretty quick. I've been out for a few hours. More than a few hours now, and it's probably going to be heading back. I'll be on the trail in the dark, but it's a super easy trail, so I'm not too worried about it. Anyways, I'll spend another half hour maybe, look around, see if I can't find a way to get down to the water. I would love to. My family doesn't expect me to spend the night, so I do have to get back tonight. As much as I would love to get down there and set up camp and have a nap, I'll head back once it starts getting dark. And if I get down there though, I'll make sure to jump back on. I still want to have a fire and get dried up a little bit now that the rain stopped, because I'm soaked through down to my belt anyways. Okay, I'm not sure here, but it sounds pretty loud. Coming up to a little waterfall. think it's louder on the low side than the high side, so I'm not sure how it's gonna look, but I thought I would, oh yeah, it's a big drop off over there. I don't know if you can see through that bush down there. But, yeah, it's nice. It's pretty cool living out here. Being able to go for a day hike and see stuff like this. Oh, yeah, more here. So since today is kind of a rambling BS day, just talking about whatever, I thought I would just talk a little bit more about some of the other things to think about when you're out in the wilderness or out in the bush like this. Now again, this is just a day hike. I'm not that far out. I only drove maybe 20 minutes, and then I've been hiking, I don't know what I am, 7-8 miles out here now, and put in about 6 hours on the trail. But one of the things to keep in mind is you are very alone. You know, even when you get a few hundred feet off the beaten track in bush like this, you can disappear real quick. And right now is October, middle of October, so there's no snow. It's not real cold, but there are bears, there are cougars. We don't get much for wolf down here, but there's coyote around. You know, they generally don't bother humans. We got bobcats, but the main ones you got to be aware of are the bears, especially at this time of year, because you'll have 1.5-year cubs who are just leaving their mama, and they don't know any better. They're dumb. They're so stupid. If they haven't really ran into humans, they don't know they should be scared of us. And they might be more curious than threatening or aggressive. But being that they can be a couple 100 pounds of pure muscle, they're in better shape than I am, especially after the last 6-8 months of COVID, not getting out as much as I normally would. They can tear you up pretty quick. Now the other thing, it's those cougars, and you notice my head's on a swivel, right? Sorry, I got spider webs in my eyes. Walk through a tight spot. Now cougars generally aren't that aggressive. There's recently been a video gone kind of viral of a guy from Blade HQ, actually one of the warehouse guys. He was out recently, and the story is he thought he ran into a couple of bobcats. It turns out it was cougar cubs, and mama did not like him messing with her cubs. So everything turned out okay. Really confusing to me. He didn't at least have a knife on him, being that he was out for a hike or a jog. I mean, even just jogging, some of those nice little Spyderco lightweights, a Para 3 lightweight or a Mannix 2 lightweight or something, they weigh next to nothing. You tuck them in the waistband of your pants. You know, some of them, you get a S30V steel or an S110V or something that's pretty corrosion resistant. If you take decent care of it, it's never going to rust, but at least you have something with you. I mean, I don't want to fight a cougar or a bear with a pocket knife, a folding knife, even a fixed blade, or my axe, which I always make sure I can reach quickly. But I'd sure as hell rather have one of them than just my bare hands. So one of the things I do every now and then, come up to a corner like this. Wow, and it looks like I got a big climb ahead of me there. Doesn't look like much on camera, but that looks steep to my eyes, especially since I've been giving her all day. But I'll stop. And right now I'm talking to you guys, so it's not that quiet. I tend to make a fair bit of noise, but with all the creeks and rivers and waterfalls around here, it's loud sometimes. The sound carries or doesn't carry because of the background noise, the rain falling. It's kind of soft right now, but you just stop in a spot where you can see the trail for a long distance and make sure you can see what's coming. Now it's real steep up there, it's real steep back behind me down the hill, But this trail that kind of rounds the edge of the mountain here and connects a couple of big valleys on either side is a really easy way for bear and cougar to kind of change terrain or change their ground, especially with the seasons changing as it is right now. Most of the berries are done, so they're looking for other stuff before it gets too cold here. But you stop, you just be quiet, and you watch and you listen. And every now and then you'll hear something. I mean, I've had, I don't know, I couldn't even count on my fingers and toes, probably 40 or 50 bear run-ins fairly close. Never anything, you know, I've been 20 or 30 feet away, but never anything where I was scared for my life. I have had cougar stalk me before where I didn't even know they were there until on the hike out in the snow I could see their tracks following mine, and that's the scary part about them cougars. The bears generally, you know, and most of the time you get into trouble because they're more curious than they are aggressive. The cougars though, if they're hungry, if they're big, they're not that scared of humans, and most of the time you won't even know. They'll come up behind you, which is kind of, I can see with my camera there's nothing there, but they'll come up behind you and you won't even know they're there most of the time. Having a run-in like that video from the guy at Blade HQ, most of the time it doesn't happen like that. You will not even know they're there. Anyways, I hit the bottom here, and let me show you. I got a little creek, as is typical. Geez, looking at it on camera, that looks almost flat, but that looks pretty steep to me. It's going to start getting dark here pretty quick. I think I'm going to grab a drink. I'm going to turn around. I might get out of here. Still like to get warmed up and dried up a little bit, but I don't know. It's going to end up getting dark if I stick around too much longer. See you soon. Okay. I think I got my breath back enough to talk a little more. So I didn't turn around at that last hill back there. One thing I know I suffer from when I'm hiking, when I'm in the bush, is I always want to see what's around the next corner. I want to see what's over the next hill, what's behind that tree, what's up that waterfall. So I bombed up that hill, and it was another big hill. I bombed up that hill, and the road turned a corner. It got into some pretty thick bush. Couldn't really see much, so I know I told my family I'd be back tonight. I didn't say what time, but I don't want it to be too late. I think it gets dark, you know, 7:38ish now. I maybe got an hour of light left, but I probably have 3 or 4 hours of hiking to get out of here. So I do have a light with me. As you can see, I took my coat off. I was cooking after those hills, and once I got down to the bottom, I actually ran for, I don't know, half an hour, try and make up a bit of distance. And the rain mostly stopped, so I kind of dried up a bit. But anyways, I know I'll be heading out in the dark. I do have a couple of lights with me. That's one thing you always want to have two when you come out somewhere like this. I know my phone, which I'm filming with, has a light, but with the amount of filming I've been doing, you can't really rely on that. I got a Streamlight tack light, CR123's 10 tap switch. Nice little light. It's kind of my go-to for trips like this, because it does have a strobe setting if you run into something in the dark when you're on the trail. It has a low light setting, which is really nice because it'll give you enough light to walk, and it'll burn, you know, with pretty good batteries. You get at least a full night out of it. Legs are a little wobbly after that run. And then I got a El Cheapo backup. It just runs on AA's, and I always have one of them tucked in every one of my packs. This is my truck pack. I always have a truck pack ready to go, because you never know. I always got boots. It's kind of a mixture pack of like a time let's hit the forest for a little while pack or if things ever hit the fan. You know, I do live in the Pacific Northwest, lower mainland BC. We are known to have large earthquakes every now and then, and I want to be able to get home to my family. So I always have a bit of survival gear in the truck, in this pack, ready to go. Everything's loaded up. Slow down a little bit. But it also makes it really nice when you want to get away like this. You just grab a couple of things, you hit the trail, and away you go. So anyways, like I said, I might have another hour of light left. This is something totally off the cuff, the filming. Some people say I'm really good on camera. I don't really like it that much. But I did start a YouTube channel for blade protection, my website. And I don't really film much stuff about knives because I like to write about it when I have a little more time to get into the details and nuances. So if you guys like this stuff, drop a comment, let me know. We can do more of it. If there's anything specific you guys want to see, you want to learn about crafting shelters, starting fires, wild edibles, overall survival stuff, how I choose the type of knives and gear. Sorry, I'm a little shaky there. How I choose the type of knives and gear that I take out on a hike or a trip like this, or for a longer trip. If you just want me to sit down at the bench with some knives, talk about steel handles, opening mechanisms, lock mechanisms, design style, EDC stuff, bushcraft stuff, take your pick, let me know. I don't know, I probably have over an hour, a couple hours of video here, I guess. I know that makes for one really long video, but maybe I'll spend some time at the computer editing and break it up into 4 or 5 and drip them out over a week or two. Whew. Feels good, get my breath back. A couple more waterfalls coming up here. I can hear them roaring in the distance. I don't know what the sound's like on this phone, if you guys can hear that or not. I did find a real nice spot to have a drink back there. Now, I always carry a life straw with me, which is enough to get you through, you know, a fair amount of water, especially if you're just out for a couple of days or whatever. One thing you got to be aware with those, though, is they work on capillary action, little tubes that filter through for crypto and giardia and all that stuff. You don't want them to freeze after they get wet. So keep them dry, keep them warm. If you're going to leave it in your truck, in your pack like me, make sure you dry it out really well. I've got a few of them. I swap them in and out after a trip. I did get a little clip of me taking a drink from a spring. I did not use my straw for that. It's been raining hard for about a week, and it's mostly just like cliffs and mountains and moss and stuff up above me where I was. So I know there's no beaver ponds, you know, they're all down low. I'm not that worried. I drink a lot of water in places like this too, so my insides are used to it. It's not something I'd recommend to people if you don't know your area. If your body's not used to it, you can get yourself in a world of hurt. Usually it doesn't come on that quick, so in an emergency situation you're okay, but it's not something you want to do if you have the option. I mostly carry the life straw for warmer weather. The rain's coming back. And when I'm down low, you know, if you're drinking out of a lake or something, you can have beaver in it, you can have dead animals, you get all kinds of different little creeks feeding into it. I don't know if you'll be able to see in the clip I took. I might have to stop and put my rain gear back on. But the clip I took there, the water was coming out of the dirt, out of the ground, a little spring. It's the same rain, you know, it probably wouldn't be running in the summer when it was hot, but it filters through all the moss, all the ferns. It's pretty clean stuff. Anyways, wow, that's nice. I don't know if you guys can see back in there. Let me see if I can do it this way. So it's a nice little creek running up in here. It goes way back in there, pretty flat. But anyways, that rain's coming back hard. I'm gonna switch back to my raincoat, slow it down a bit now that I'm cooled off and dry. I don't want to get wet again.